Once again, little Miss Zoom lady has told us recording is in progress. Welcome to a rainy, kind of dark day. Not well, that sounds ominous. To a rainy day, cloudy here. Um, by the way, we're listening to the Allman Brothers, and I can't say for sure, but I'm willing to bet that the Allman Brothers were one of the forerunners of what we now call Southern rock or classic Southern rock, along with Leonard Skinner, Dickie Betts. If you've not heard Dickie Betts, he's incredible. That noted, I wanted to talk about subtlety. Why did I want to talk about subtlety in writing? Because I'm working on something and I'm running into my lack of subtlety. So I have to teach myself about it. And hopefully by teaching myself, I'll be able to help you understand it, or at least give you a good chuckle because I'll be flubbing. Honesty, it's a great thing. I'm working on a story that I originally wrote in 1991, I believe. If you want, I can go check because I know you're like, please, dear God, Joseph, let us know when this was done. 1991 was the first version that I have on file. I believe the transition to DOS-based machines from CP/M-based machines had occurred by then, because I originally composed on CP/M. Anybody remember that? Floppy disks, what? But so I caught myself, didn't say it. So I wrote my first version of this in 1991. And I've had several attempts since then, fairly periodically, with more recent attempts in the past 5 or 6 years. The story is how Jerry and Betty became the least entertaining couple in the neighborhood. Back in '87, I attended a prestigious, very well-known writers' workshop. One of the teachers, said something not as part of the class, but when we were all just basically sitting around having beers. And that was never be subtle. He never uses subtlety. He avoids it. And how come? And he said, because the reader won't pick up on it. Never be subtle because the reader won't get it. And that really has stuck with me. So here I am working on how Jerry and Betty became the least entertaining couple in the neighborhood. And I'm looking at the revisions, many of which are edits, but not actually revisions of the previous versions. Okay. One of the things that really stood out to me was that I was making an attempt to be subtle. Now, the reason I noticed it now is because I'm really working hard to train myself to have editor's eyes on my own work. I'm sure that I've done experiments about that before. You have to do it. You have to do it. Editor's eyes. Read it as if you're an editor. Read it as if you're going to be paying money for this thing. And if there's something that you won't want to pay money for, get rid of it. That's it. So I'm reading this thing with what I will call editor's eyes. And I'm looking at how much I attempted to be subtle. Okay, what is subtle? Subtle, to me, is when the author attempts to very slyly get information to the reader, but not state it outright. And that's what this teacher had been talking about. Don't be subtle. If you want the reader to know something, tell them. Put it down on paper. Get it to them. Put it in their hand. That way, when it shows up later on as a necessity to the story for some plot twist, for some character revelation, they will go, oh, yeah, I remember that. And even if they don't go, oh, yeah, I remember it, you've already put the seed in their mind. So it's not, where did this come from? That noted, tell the reader what you want them to know. Can you misdirect the reader? Yes. Provided that they have all the stuff they need, yes, you can misdirect the reader. How do you do that? You do that by emphasizing the misdirection, by having the characters pay attention to the misdirection rather than the real thing you need them to see. Or put it in there as an aside. He noticed the bottle of whiskey was turned backwards, and the victim never the victim always had the labels forward, so he'd know which bottle, which whiskey he was grabbing. Okay, there you go. So that's a very subtle thing, and subtle. It's a very innocuous thing, which can be put in there as the investigator in this case is looking to more important data, more important clues, or things he or she believes is more important. Okay. Subtlety can play a role between characters in a story. One character can be subtle to another character in a story. However, the author needs to let the reader know that the subtlety is between one character and the other. The reader needs to know what this character is being subtle about, so that the reader can go, okay, that guy didn't get it. I know it, but they don't. Another thing that can happen is you can have subtlety of changes in place, so long as somebody in the story recognizes, well, that bottle was turned around. He never turns those bottles around like that. I do not know this for a fact. I have not made a study of it. I'm guessing subtlety can show up in literary fiction, because that's an entirely different thing. And literary fiction is, excuse me, about character and place more than it is about plot and character. One of the things about genre fiction is its plot and character, as opposed to character and place, which is one of the reasons that Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House keeps on bouncing between literary fiction and horror fiction, horror genre, gothic maybe. So subtlety, don't use it. Don't try to hide things from the reader. Let them know. And the Jerry and Betty story, I was working overtime. I'm going to pass this really clever little clue. The only problem was was it a clever little clue? Only if you knew, only if the reader knew, oh my God, that's an important thing. But I never gave the reader that much information. I never gave them that much. I never gave them the necessary information. Therefore, the subtlety was lost on them. And that you do not want to have happen, because if you are that kind of subtle with the reader, they may decide you screwed them over and they don't like what you did with the book and you weren't playing fair with them, and they won't buy your books anymore, if ever again. Double there, put that double together. That's it. Thank you. Let's find the stop button. There it is.